Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Pivotal Moments. As always, it's just such a treat to be able to sit down and talk with people about moments in their lives that just really changed the game. So I am excited about today's guest. We have Kaz Harleaux on the show today, sitting down, chatting with us about his pivotal moment. So a little bit about Kaz. You may be familiar with him through things such as All American. He is an actor on All American as well as MadTV. But there's so much more to Kaz. So I'm excited to really dig in, talk to Kaz, find out about that pivotal moment. And Kaz, welcome to Pivotal Moments. Yes. So, of course, like I said, I gave a quick, brief mention. And again, that's not to take away to just tout the amazingness of it all, but you are an actor, a musician, poet. Tell us a little bit more about just who you are and some of the things that you're proud of to be working on.
Mm. Uh, I always like to say it this way. My name is Kaz Harleaux. I'm an actor by occupation, storyteller by vocation, and my ambition is to help the world solve its problems one story at a time.
Wow.
And that's just kind of who I am.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautifully put. Beautiful. Well, Kaz, like I said, I'm so happy to have you in the conversation today. And of course, this is Pivotal Moments. So, what will you be sharing with us today? What is the pivotal moment that you want to talk about?
You know, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know, I don't want to get ahead of us, but I kind of understand what an adjustment is, but I wonder what a pivot means.
I love that. I love that. And so, in this whole concept came about, and I'm glad you brought this up because it's been a while since I've even talked about this on the show. But this whole concept of pivotal moments came about really when the pandemic first started, and everyone was just, scared and fearful. They felt overwhelmed. And I wanted to do something to remind everyone that we've faced scary times before in life, and that if we tap into those moments when we made a pivot, then that can help us to be strong for what we're facing and for what would lie ahead. And so a friend of mine who I talked to a couple of different people, a friend of mine who's all things athleticism. We were talking about basketball, and I really got fascinated with a pivot in basketball and how, one foot stays the same and you basically have to make that move while that one thing stays the same. Like that's kind of the meaning of pivot, right? When you think about from a basketball standpoint. But I realized that so many times we use that expression, this pivotal moment for me. So I dug a little deeper, and really what it comes down to is that moment in life that's unchangeable for you. That moment that causes you to make a shift while something is staying the same because it's just that important to you. So that's really what pivotal moments is all about. And, throughout life, there are tons of them, but really thinking about what is a moment that really forced a shift and landed in a good place, because of this shift.
That is awesome.
Yay.
Man, that's good. And so essentially what we're talking about is making a shift while staying the same.
Yes. Yes.
And, I don't want to get too existential too quickly here, but isn't that the characteristic of the Most High? Staying the same while changing. Isn't that about, we're just sketching here, right? But isn't that about as close as we can get to the Most High?
Woo. Oh, yes. I see you came in strong right away. I love it. I love it.
I'm just thinking. And so not to evade the question, to kind of get back to where we were about a pivotal moment. What I mean to say, when I was thinking of this idea, I looked around, I said, damn, that's there, that's there, that's there, that's there, that's there. That's life, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes we recognize them. So I can only give you an example of one that I recognize, but they're happening at every moment.
Yep.
And so for me, I would just say, you know, I lost my mother when I was 19 years old, just starting my sophomore year in college. I lost my mother to breast cancer.
Wow. Sorry to hear that.
And I appreciate that. But I had this moment where single Black woman raising two children, this part of the story isn't new. The wrinkle in it for me is that making a pivotal choice in whether to go off to school in Virginia, try to play football and walk on and be chase a dream of being in the NFL, which was never really my dream. It was a dream of people close to me. I grew up around athletes, so I appreciate the analogies to them.
Yeah.
But for me, that'd be cool if I did that. My heart wasn't in it, but it'd be cool. And so I made a pivotal decision to stay closer to home, and play football at a smaller school when my mom got sick. And then when my mother died, a year under my belt in college, working to be the first graduate in a generation to go to college and graduate, everything had to change. But I had to stay the same. I had to become the man that my mother had raised. I had to take my ass to class. I had to take my ass to practice. I played a football game less than a week after she died because she would have wanted me to play football. She was about that. She loved the game.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say everything from that moment was a shift for me. Everything in my life was a pivot. And I had someone close to me recently ask me, and I hadn't even thought about it this way. I had someone close to me ask me, how did you do it? I had no North Star after that. I didn't have a place called home, really. I'm from the H, I'm from Houston, and I love the city. And so many people filled in the role, of being mother-like, having a motherhood figure in my life.
Yeah.
But nobody's your mama.
Right.
And so I say all that to say I had lots of support, but no home, no real home. And still, I was able to become an all-conference football player, pursue my ambitions in college, make sure that I graduated on time, and pursue my life and my career and all the things that have sort of come. And I had somebody say to me, very close to me, how'd you do it? How'd you basically keep it all together?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just what we're talking about here. And that is being ready to pivot at any moment, being ready for that.
Wow. That is so powerful. And I really appreciate you sharing that. What would you say was the lesson that you took away from that? Because like you said, really, we kind of pivot automatically at times, right? Humans are actually very resilient. And so we can tend to pivot rather automatically. But the real growth can come from, like you mentioned, recognizing that there was a pivot and then taking something from it. So what would you say you got from that pivot that you're talking about? What would you say you took away from that for your life?
So many. How many episodes we got?
Exactly.
No, I think that, for me, there was, when my mother died, there was a very acute understanding of how fleeting life can be. And so I've spent my adult life having a great appreciation for how quickly things can change forever and ever and ever in your existence. And so I've lived in a way that just it it compels me to think of, man, this moment is the one that matters.
Mm.
And having that capacity changes the game. Being able to be in this moment, game changer.
Wow. And I really appreciate that, because some people actually take the opposite route, right? Some people, with this awareness that life can be fleeting and anything can happen in a moment, some people choose to actually go what could be considered a more negative route, that I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. I don't care about who may get hurt in the process, because tomorrow I may be gone. But what you're talking about is really taking that reality and that awareness and actually doing something good with it. Actually, like you said, staying in the present, making positive moves. And I think that's really good for people to think about that.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, beyond just sort of thinking about making the positive moves, you have to be thinking positively. When you say to me, someone takes an alternate path that says, I don't care and I'll do whatever I want, to me, that's the stopping point. You don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just my perspective. I've only lived my life.
Right.
But it seems to me about life, the more you care, the more you pour into something, the more you get out of it. And so while you may think you're not giving anything, sharing anything, I talk about this in my forthcoming book, while you may think you're not sharing anything, you absolutely are. And you're reaping something out of that too. And
Ooh.
it's more of the negative thing that you speak of. So
Yeah. Wow, that is awesome. So, as you know, we tend to kind of shift gears a bit and talk about the adjustment piece. And I love thinking about this, because adjustment can be somewhat of an uncomfortable adapting to something. When we typically think about adjusting, typically that's kind of like in an uncomfortable situation. So with this, the pivoting and with your growth in life and being present, can you talk about the adjustment piece? Where have you had to make some of those uncomfortable adjustments?
I'm say to you like this. Um, all of life is an adjustment.
Mm.
Like it's almost, and I recognize not everybody sees it this way or understands this, or maybe even has ever heard of this, but like your whole existence is an adjustment.
Mm.
And a couple of things are true about this. The first of which is you have to be okay knowing that where you want to be in this existence takes being uncomfortable in some spaces. That's just part of the deal.
Mm.
And the other thing is finding something to enjoy about getting through that adjustment.
Mm.
Finding something to look forward to in this very moment, because that's all you have is this moment. And so to me, everything is an adjustment. Your pH balance is constantly. I talk about this. You and I aren't wearing the same skin we were wearing 27 days ago.
Wow.
We are constantly adjusting in this existence.
That gave me goosebumps. Wow. That's powerful to think about. Wow. And I would go even a step further. See, we could probably talk for so long about this, because I would go a step further and say the conflict probably comes because we're fighting the adjustment instead of going into it. Would you agree with that?
Yes. And here's how. I'm on a yoga mat 5 days a week.
Mm.
And I talk about yoga a lot in that I believe it to be a physical experience that is all of our experience on this planet. It is a physical manifestation of all of our experience on this planet, which is first and foremost breathing. You have to breathe. In everything that you do on a yoga mat, you are stretching, you are adjusting. It is uncomfortable at first. And how do you get through it? Jamming through, forcing your way through, hating your way through it? It's never worked for me. But breathing through it, slowing down and going through it, understanding that this is part of the deal. Now that's something I can get with.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I love it. You've really shared some amazing points. That's why I love these conversations so much. They're so brief, but they're just so packed with valuable information. So, Kaz, what would you leave with people who are tuned in, listening, watching, whatever the case? What final words would you leave with people?
I'll share what's been on my spirit a lot lately. I've been saying this to a lot of people. There are 3 questions that I think will help you locate where you are at all times. And I think knowing where you are, anywhere you are, makes everything okay. And so these are the 3 questions. Who are you? And the fullest understanding of what that means, answer the question. Not who's your name and how do people call you and what your job title is. Who are you? Second question is, what are you doing? Sincerely answer that question in every moment of your waking existence, and you'll have a fundamentally different existence. And the last one is, what do you mean? And this is important because in a world where words can start wars, we're looking at Russia and Ukraine right now. In a world where words can start wars, and you dial that down all the way to wars on a global level, into the personal level, into the self level, it's important to understand what you mean when you open your mouth for yourself so that someone else can have that full understanding of what you mean. Heavy asks, but these are the 3 questions. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you mean?
Wow. That is very powerful. Very, very powerful. I again am so appreciative of you coming through, sharing. I mean, just in these few minutes, you really just shared some eye-opening information, things to think about from your own journey and your own experiences. So I appreciate that. Now, before we completely sign off, and I will make sure to have the links in the show notes. But again, where can people? I know that in your bio, you've got a couple amazing things. You have a project that is featured in a magazine. You have your book out about the meaning of life. So again, just kind of share with people what you have and how they can find you and keep up with all the amazing things that you are doing.
Yeah. If you're a fan of All American, I'm on that show. Season 4 is underway. Just picked up for the second half of the season. And we'll see where the character goes. It'll be interesting, but you know the show if you watch it, it's dope.
Yes, I love that show.
I love it. Peace Pieces is a project I've been working on. It's a series of essays talking about peace and really just the importance of it, its function, our role in maintaining it. And it's just, I think it's something that we don't think about a lot, but you can find that in OTB magazine. And all of that is on my IG, and you can find me at Catch _Kaz, CATCH_CAZ. And that'll link you to the blog, and that'll link you to the pieces and everything that's going on. I have so many jobs, girl. I don't even know what I'm working on anymore.
Believe me, I get it. And I'm sure you probably have more than I do. And I struggle. Like, people, sometimes when they ask me, what do you do? I'm like, okay, who am I talking to? And what part of what I do I need to share right now?
Oh, man. It's like, so if you're listening for Taco Bell, I'm the voice of Taco Bell. So if you listen, that's probably me. As I said, All American. I just did a documentary featuring Lil Nas X, Lizzo, and Kendrick Lamar. I narrated this documentary that's coming out later this month, and it's going to be dope. So it's crazy right now. So go to the website. You can catch up with me there. The book's on the way. I'm excited about that. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. I will have all those links in the show notes. And again, I just have to say, it's so refreshing to meet someone who made choices, the right choices that are not just, benefiting yourself, but actually benefiting other people. And I love the fact that you haven't limited yourself to, just maybe acting or different things like that, but you are actually really trying to make the world a better place. And I really appreciate that. So I thank you for sharing that with us, with the community.
Just doing my part as a fellow human.
Wow. Love it. Well, enjoy your day. I know you probably have a million other things to do. Once again, thank you for stopping by the show. For those of you who are tuned in, thank you as always for supporting Pivotal Moments. And we will see you next time on Pivotal Moments.
Peace, y'all.